Welcome to Canada Reads Inspired, featuring two friends who hope to inspire you to read across Canada. Rebecca is an hour from the border in Michigan, and Tara is from Ontario.
Hello and welcome. We're back for another monthly episode of our book chat. This is actually, we haven't done when we skipped April. We took a little break after Canada Reads. So this is our May book chat. I'm Tara and I'm here with, did I get that right? You look confused.
No, we did. You said
Yeah.
that earlier. We skipped April. It makes total sense that we did, but
Yeah.
God,
I
I
know it
can't
seems
believe it's
weird,
been
right?
Feels like we just did one. Okay.
I know.
Anyway.
I agree. I think it's because we did a YouTube reading from our shelves last week. I think that's it. Yeah. Anyways, I'm Tara. I'm here with Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca.
Good morning. And I have to say, I'm so happy. We had a little bit of hot weather and then it cooled off, and I'm kind of enjoying that cool because now it feels like spring, even though,
Yes.
well, technically it's still spring. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Although I do have to admit, like, because we had the hot weather over the weekend and I went for a walk wearing like shorts. And I was like, I'm like, this is kind of nice. I'm walking with my shorts on. I'm like, I am enjoying the heat for about 3/4 of the walk. And then by the end of the walk, I was like, I was
Exactly.
like dragging. I'm like, okay, now I remember walking in the heat. Not so much fun. But
Yeah.
those first little bit was, it felt nice on the skin, the
Yeah.
warmth, the sun.
I
But I like the
agree.
coolness too.
Yeah, I agree. I have a lot of yard work to do, and that's why I'm like,
Mhm.
yay, it's a little bit cooler so I can
Yes,
do yard work when it's cooler rather than, hot, hot,
I
hot.
agree. I agree. Okay. Hmm. Any bookish chat before we get into our actual books that we've been reading?
Oh, I will tell you one thing.
Yes.
I have changed my reading style.
Oh, this is good. I love this shit. Let's hear it.
And when you hear it, you'll be like, "Oh, I totally get it," because I've noticed your reading habits. So I decided to kind of kick my TBR to the curb a bit.
Mm,
I just kind of was like, I just am not feeling it right now.
yep.
And I just have been going to the library and I pick up whatever is on the shelf that I want to pick up. I don't even place holds or anything. I just literally go over and I look at the new books and then I pick a book. And I have to tell you, I am crushing it in terms of how
Yeah.
much I love these books.
Yeah. You
It's
are.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. And I've noticed that it looks like you're reading more books lately. Like to me, I was like, oh, like Rebecca's reading a lot more than you have in the last year or so. You know what I mean? Like you've been reading the whole past year. But if I go on Storygraph and like one of your updates shows up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know Rebecca was reading that and that she's read that. So I had noticed something different.
Well, yeah, partly that's because I have no responsibility to anybody anymore. That's a major part of why I have more time.
Yeah.
And the other thing with the chaos in the world, I'm reading more kids books, kid and YA, because I'll tell
Hmm.
you what, my brain just needs to not. I don't want to read really heavy stuff. Not that I haven't read heavy stuff,
Yep.
but I can't. That cannot be my steady diet right
No,
now.
no. You need more of a balance between the
Yeah,
two.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
also I have a new a virtual book club for kids, kids books and stuff, and we had our first meeting and it was really fun, and it just reminded me of why I love youth material, and that was really cool. But how about you? Any news for you?
Um, Gee, I don't think so. I mean, my reading habits have changed a little bit as well in terms of what I'm reading at particular times of the day, if that makes sense. So
Hmm,
I still do my nonfiction in the morning,
yeah.
fiction throughout the day, but I am not reading my fiction at nighttime. Like I need to read before when I
Oh.
get in bed. So
Mm-hmm.
before I go to sleep, I would read to like shut my brain down. But I'm reading like one page of my fiction book, and then I would get up the next and when I pick, I'm like, I have no idea what I just read. And that's so annoying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
So I've started reading either poetry or a graphic novel at bedtime. And
Nice.
it is like perfect because you can like one or two poems are like perfect to just like you can take them in and it just still I'm getting the words that settle my brain, and actually I really love that. And
Yeah.
also the same with graphic novel. You can read like a few pages.
Mm-hmm.
You with the images and words, I still retain it all,
Yeah.
but when I fall asleep, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
that's
awesome.
yeah. So I've
Yeah.
been enjoying that part of it.
There you go. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into what we are currently reading. I'll go since I'm chatting. I'll just take the lead.
Okay.
So I have two books that I'm currently reading. My first fiction book is a horror book, and it is called Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker. Man, I'm loving this one. I'm only maybe like less than halfway in, but the whole gist of it. So we have a dual timeline, present day 2026, and I think it's like 1877 is the date. I think when I was first mentioning this book to you, I said 15th century. No, I
Oh,
got that
okay.
totally wrong. When I was reading it last night, I was like, wait a minute. So it's 1877. In the present day, we have a young man named Lee who has taken a semester away from university from he was at NYU for a particular reason, which I will not spoil. You find out very quickly in the first chapter or two why he has basically run away from New York City. And he is living with his father, who recently moved to Japan. And his father bought this old like cottage that's kind of in the middle at the bottom of a hill and in the middle of all these ferns, and no one has lived in it for like 50 years or more kind of thing. So he is living there with his father. And then in 1877, you have the daughter of a samurai warrior who is being trained by her father to be a warrior, a young woman. And, daughter. And he is not a nice man. He's gone to battle and come back a different person. But even the person he was beforehand, uh, how he is training her to be a samurai is traumatic and abusive. So
Ooh. Yeah.
she is so trigger warnings for even just the way she is being treated. It's difficult at times to read what he is doing. So, and she in 1877 is living in the same house, is living in the house that Lee now
Oh,
lives.
okay.
So you get the dual timelines. The line between the two times, between their two worlds, is becoming blurred, as at first they visually see each other as like ghosts, and now they are physically interacting.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
it is so good. So it's really funny because you know that she is the person in the past. So I'll put in quotes here, the ghost. So would your first inclination is to think that she is the more menacing of the two, but then once they start interacting, you're kind of like, oh, Sen, you need to get away from this man like that. Not just your father, but like this man in the present time. You
Yeah.
need to get the hell away from him because
Wow.
he's not good.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm loving it. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
it's very good. And then the second book I'm bringing is a collection of short stories, and it is Chrysalis by Anuja Varghese. So this is a book from 2023. Uh, Anuja Varghese is a author local to me in Hamilton,
Hmm.
and this book has been on my radar since it was published, and I'm finally getting around to it, and it is phenomenal. I am almost finished. I think I have two stories left, and it's fantastic. All the stories center the experiences of women of color in some way or
Hmm.
another, different genres, which I love too. It reminds me a lot in that the overall tone of Alison Gadsby's Breathing is How Some People Stay Alive. The tone of it reminds me of that,
Oh,
which I love. So they're all like a little weird sometimes,
yeah.
little, you don't know what to expect. But some of the stories are poignant. Like you're going to be like, going, yep, that one gotcha. And I'm thinking, there's a story called Arvind, which is an adoption story, um, which is beautiful in like 4 pages. Beautiful.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Some of them are haunting, and I'll throw out. There's one called Night Zoo, which is about a family that moves to the ideal small town, and maybe it's not so ideal. And then I read another one this morning called Chitra, which is a Cinderella retelling with some feminine rage and a little violence, and it was so good. I
That
love
sounds
it.
good.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
so good.
yeah.
Anyways, I'm loving this one. What about you?
So, day before yesterday, I was at the library to return a book and
Mm-hmm.
picked up a book. I'll show you the cover. It's kind of
Oh yeah. That looks good.
so the title is Black Out Loud: The Revolutionary History of Black Comedy from Vaudeville to 90s Sitcoms. And it's by Geoff Bennett, who is the co host of the PBS NewsHour in the US and everything. And the reason I didn't even know he wrote it, I just picked up the book because when I opened it up and saw the chapters, I thought, okay, I got to read this because I love looking back in time, in especially in a subject like this. And there were chapters. The beginning chapters are people I've never heard of, but one of them is, which I'll go into obviously more detail. But one of the first one is a black entertainer who had to be in blackface, but he had huge audiences of black and white people, and it was the one thing that they said, uh, segregation. If there was money to be made, segregation would sort of drop the rules, so they would allow black and white audience sit together. So that was really fascinating. But anyway, it included Stepin Fetchit, Hattie McDaniel, Amos and Andy, and Mom's Mabley. And I just want to mention Mom's Mabley. When I was growing up, there were two shows in the U.S. The Mike Douglas show and the Merv Griffin show, and I used to watch those regularly as a teen, probably preteen and all that. And Mom's Mabley was on there a lot, and I thought she was so funny. And to this day, my favorite line that I've never forgotten is she said, he was so ugly, he hurt my feelings. And I used to say that all the time when I was young. I love that line. Anyway, and then it goes into Red Fox, Dick Gregory, Flip Wilson, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. But then it goes into the shows that I used to love: A Different World, In Living Color, Family Matters, Living Single, and Martin Lawrence, who I loved. Martin Lawrence, I thought he was so freaking hilarious. So I'm actually kind of excited to read this. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I mean, how in depth he can go with all of those chapters,
Yep.
but I know I'm going to enjoy whatever I read. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I love books about comedy. I love comedy and stand up anyways, and sitcoms, any kind of comedy.
Yeah.
I
And
will.
yeah. And I have to say, sitcoms for me, that has always been what I would rather watch because I'm an hour drama, a story that's carryover story. I don't want to watch that. I just don't watch that much TV. But sitcoms, I'll sit down and laugh for a half hour. I'm good
Yeah,
with that.
me too. And I'll watch them over and over again. They are like my comfort food. I love sitcoms.
Oh my god, I know because I you can still catch the Martin Lawrence show. I'll watch that sometimes, and I even watch. Leave It to Beaver comes on in the morning, and then I watch Andy Griffith's show. So yeah, I just want a little mindless 30 minutes of fun laughs and television that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, let's move into our past reads for the past like month or so. I'll start us off because, and I did not plan this, but I said how I was reading more graphic novels. So I am bringing a graphic novel.
Excellent.
Yes. So it is Canon by Lee Lai. Have you heard of this one?
Mm-mm.
So it's been shortlisted for the Carol Shields Prize.
Oh,
And very recently, I feel like within the last week, announced that it had won the Stella Prize, which is Australia's literary award for women and non-binary writers.
okay.
And Lee Lai has become, by winning the Stella, the first non-binary winner and the first graphic novel to win the Stella Prize.
Okay.
So it's getting lots of kudos
Yeah.
around. Yeah. So I'm very excited to see what happens with the Carol Shields Prize, which I think is announced early June, the winner. So the book itself, Lee Lai is an Australian cartoonist and writer who moved to Canada in 2016.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how she kind of goes between the two countries. Um, so the book itself, the main character is Canon, who works in a Montreal restaurant as a chef. And when the book opens up, Canon is in the kitchen of the restaurant, surrounded by complete destruction of the kitchen. And so the book then moves to the past, and you watch Canon, like the journey that Canon went on from working to where to the point of destruction. So you get
Ooh.
to witness Cannon's anxiety, which is brought on by family and work obligations and pressures, to this moment at the beginning or the end where there's a release of rage. And it is so beautiful. Like the story itself is great, but I also really loved the illustrations and use of color. Most of it's black and white with some lighter red or pink thrown in,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. And I really love that too. But I enjoyed it. You should pick it up. I think you would like it too.
I was just looking up too about it. I wanted to see what it looked like, and it's a horror novel. I mean, it's a horror graphic. It's saying horror elements. Does it have horror in it?
Oh, you know what? Cannon and her friend, whose name I cannot remember in the book, they get together and watch horror movies. Like that's
Oh,
part of
okay.
their friendship, is getting together and watch horror movies. So there is that, uh, which I'd forgot about. But as soon as you say horror, what I found, because I worked in the restaurant world for a chunk of my young adult life, is often the panic inducing horror of that work environment is what
Yeah.
came to mind. And I'm like, oh yeah, because I did have moments when I was like, no, I don't want to go back there. But yeah, so yes, I guess there is maybe a slight horror element, but not if you don't like horror. Do
Yeah.
not let
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
impede
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny because I worked in restaurants and bars because I was a bartender for years. And
Yeah.
it was so funny because the one recurring nightmare that I have in my life throughout my life has been I'm working the bar and I can't remember how much a drink costs and I can't figure out how to work the cash register. I literally, that is my nightmare that has happened. I probably have dreamt of that like 10 times in my life. And
Yeah.
it's just hilarious to me when it happens. Because of course it's really busy and I'm just freaking out. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Mine is that I can't get to the tables, that I know I have a new table there, but I cannot get to that table. And I have another new table, but I have to take this table's order. And now I have to run food and I can't do it all. It is,
See, we get PTSD from working in customer
yeah,
service
customer
in
service. It's
restaurants
the
and stuff.
worst.
That's hilarious, actually. Oh my gosh.
There
All
you
right.
go. I'm
Well,
happy to bring it back to you.
yeah, I'll probably have a nightmare tonight. Yeah.
You will.
I kind of listed my books today in a little bit of an order. So my first one is called Pennies, which I did bring to our recent reading from our shelves because the cover was just so beautiful
Yeah.
and I wanted to show it off. It's written by Lora, Lora, Senf, Senf. And this was a children's book that I picked up. And it turned out it's a prequel, but it totally stands alone. I do want to read the other three books because apparently the four girl characters, one of them will be the grandmother to the girl who is in the three subsequent books in the series. But I picked it up because there's nothing I love more than fierce girl characters, young girl characters. And so these four girls, it's I think it's in the 1910s or something. They live in Blight Harbor, and it's kind of a slightly haunted community. Kind of, it has an eerie feel to it, and there are these holes that pop up. And two of the girls have fathers who, one locates where these holes, these portals are, and the other one seals them up. And so one day they come across a hole and they run to tell, because they thought, well, their dads hadn't done anything about it. So they run to tell one of them, and they bring him back, and he's looking. He goes, "What are you talking about? I don't see any hole." And they're all looking at each other, going, what do you mean? There's a hole right there." So obviously, there's some kind of magic now that the adults in the community can't see what's going on, but the four girls are fully aware. So one of the girls' cousins goes missing, and it turns out they realize she has been either has gone down or been forced down the, through the portal, and they decide to go after her. And I loved this book. So I just think it's a fun read for adults. I think teens, who knows if a teen will read it. The girls I think are 12 years old, but I think if you like light gothic horror, it's a great book for a kid. But here's the part that just blows my mind. It's about a serial killer. It's a serial killer, and it's a kid's book. So
Yeah.
at one point, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this character is a serial killer. And I think as a kid, I'm not sure if it would have scared me as a kid, but I absolutely loved it. The pacing is great. It keeps you moving. And when they get into this underworld, there are all these kind of challenges they have to go through. And so it really to me was reminiscent of the Chronicles of Narnia in that it there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of stuff happening, but it doesn't drag it out because that's the one thing about fantasy that I just can't read. When you look at those big chonkers like 500-page
Hmm.
fantasies and then there's like 20 in the series, I'm never going to read that because it's just too much for me. I have a short attention span, but this just keeps the pace moving. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And apparently, this author writes a lot of horror for kids and young adults.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to check it out.
So I feel like you maybe
Yeah.
you should check it out and know that your definition of horror and mine, like what scares me and what scares you, completely different.
Well, I'm finding as I'm reading a lot more horror over the last year or two that it's very fluid as to what is considered horror. Like,
Yeah.
like sometimes I think initially we think of horror, we think of ghosts, monsters, blood, guts, like severe violence and stuff like this. And sometimes it's just a feeling or
Yeah.
that something is just off in the world kind of too, right?
Yeah. And that's what I think about this book is I feel like that is there's this mood through the whole thing. And and I just want to read the quote really quick
Hmm.
that I had put on my Instagram because when even with this quote, it kind of even when she said it in the book, it made me pause. The main character May says, "It seemed because she's the narrator, and she says it seemed that we were finally on our way to the cellar. I wanted to flee or maybe crumple onto the floor and cry until someone came along and fixed this, but I knew no one was coming. No grown up was going to swoop in and save the day. If the four of us wanted to make it out of whatever this was, we'd have to do it ourselves somehow." And that was chilling to me because I was thinking, like, if I were a girl reading this book and I knew that I could only depend on myself and my three friends
Hmm.
and no adult was helping, that would have scared the crap out of me. I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie. So, yeah, it's a very eerie kind of thing.
Yeah. I find children's literature, and there seems to be quite a chunk of it, in which adults are basically, they're not non existent, they're there, but they're on the periphery,
Yeah.
and that they
Yeah.
really are. What's the word I'm looking for? I know there's a particular word, but basically they can't do anything. Like it
Yeah.
all comes down to the children. I find
Yeah.
that really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and I just want to mention too, at the very beginning of the book, May says, "I'm going to tell you what happened in our town. I'm going to tell you one time and then I'm done. We're not talking about it again. And I'm as honest as I can be, but there are some things that are too horrific that I cannot share." And then you find out later in the book what that is. I
Mm,
mean, anyway, yeah, I loved it.
yeah, I
So
got to
I'm,
check this one out.
yeah, yeah. So I would say if you're a summer reader and you just want something light and fun, try it out. Just read a kid's book, embrace it, see if you like it, and then let me know.
Yeah, I'm sorry as I do this, I'm checking it out on my library thing right now. There we go. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, my second book, is one that I also brought to our recent reading from the shelves, but I wanted to bring it again here and highlight it in case people don't watch or listen to both. So it is Day of Epiphany by Jerome J. Bourgault. It is a fictional account of a true incident that happened in Quebec during a period in the 1940s referred to as the Great Darkness. And it being called the Great Darkness is very apt because this is a very dark book. So I, go into it with warnings. There are parts of it due to like sexual violence and child abuse, physical and sexual, that I could not like. I had to skim read it. So know that is in the book.
Mhm.
However, the story itself is very. Uh, it's interesting, and I'm glad I heard about it. But just know, like, you have maybe a lighter book ready to go when you're finished this book.
Hmm. Yeah.
So during the Great Darkness, 1940s Quebec, and it is about an orphanage that is converted to a psychiatric hospital because, due to the relationship between the Quebec government at the time and the church, it was more profitable for both institutions if the orphanage became a psychiatric hospital. So at the time that this happens, the students or orphanages become patients, and the nuns who were once teachers become nurses. No one, obviously this is a bad situation. Makes it worse is that a psychiatric hospital that's nearby that was for adult patients, those adult patients and the people who work there in that hospital are all brought over to this new hospital. So you have children, I think from 5 years old to 15 in the same facility as adult psychiatric patients who were often there for a particular reason. So it works out for no one. It's brutal. It's a brutal story. There is some, when finally one of the nuns comes forward, and there is not hope is not the word, but when you get some
Relief.
relief, thank you, and that the people who caused this issue, when it's brought out into the lightness, that is good to know. And I really like learning about Quebec history, and I like the dichotomy between the secular and the church in Quebec history. So, but be forewarned. So well written, but dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. My next book is a YA book that I had picked up. And again, I was just at the library, saw it. It has a great cover. It's called Run Away With Me by Brian Selznick. And I think it's the first quarter or one third of the book maybe is illustration. And it sort of tells you the story. So you're kind of looking at it and you're getting a sense of what's happening, which I'll tell you in a minute. And then the next part is text. And in the last 18 pages, it's illustrations again. And apparently Brian Selznick, who I've not read before, but he's an award-winning author, he does this often. He has a lot of books where he does this. Basically, it's about uh, a young man who moves to Italy with his mom. She's a book conservator, and she's there on a job. And so they have lived a life where they move and live in different places often. And he had been in Italy once before when he was younger, so it was familiar to him. And he meets this young man, Apollo, and the two of them, in the beginning, you're not sure if Apollo is human or real. You're not really sure like what his story is. He's very um quiet and keeps everything close to the vest. So you're never quite sure who he is and what's going on. But basically, I can't remember the main character's name now. I can't think of his name, but anyway, both young men are just bonded immediately, and then they just go around Rome and they talk about everything and they're living their lives together, and of course they fall in love. And so really what this is Brian Selznick apparently lived with his spouse. They lived there at some point, because I will say the notes at the back, read that because it just brings so much more to the story, which I thought the story was beautiful. But when you realize partly it's a story about he and his husband, that you're like, oh, but it's really about first love and that feeling of first love. And you totally get that sensibility. And also it is a love letter to the city of Rome. I mean, you just feel like you are in the middle of it all. And the illustrations, and in fact, when you go back, I went back and looked at the illustrations, and when you look at them, you start to realize there's a little shadowy figure in all of the pages, and you realize that's Apollo, that he's about to meet Apollo. Exactly. So you see all these historical places that they see together, but he's by himself. And initially, he's out there by himself just because it's summertime. He got no other responsibilities. So he's going around looking at Rome through different eyes, older eyes, right? And then they meet, and then they have this relationship. And it's just, it was so beautiful. It was a page turner just because I love these two characters. And again, I wasn't sure if Apollo was real, And there's a really unique, interesting thing about their names because they actually name each other.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I won't even say any more about that because there's
Yeah.
a thing, yeah, about their names, which is really beautiful. So anyway, absolutely loved it. And it's a big book, but I read through it very quickly because it was just a really beautiful love story. First love.
It
Yeah.
does. Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, from your beautiful, I'm going to bring horror because
Uh-oh.
so on that note, we'll do a quick little turn. And my next book is the latest from Kim Fu, and it is called The Valley of Vengeful Ghosts.
Ooh.
Yep, yep. So our main character is Eleanor, whose mother has recently died. And and so I think Eleanor's, I'm going to say roughly in her 30s, like mid 30s kind of thing. And her whole life, her mother has been the organizer of Eleanor's life. So, gotten her meals, done her laundry, housework, her finances, so that Eleanor could focus on her career as an online therapist. So when her mom dies, her mom's last directive to Eleanor is to use her inheritance to buy a house. And Eleanor does so, but she impulsively does so and buys her first house.
Oh no.
And this is where the shit hits the fan because there are so many ghosts in this story, like ghosts upon ghosts in her house. So where she ends up buying is in this neighborhood that is only just starting to be developed. Like also development has also paused in this neighborhood. Like it's in a neighborhood that's in the middle of the woods. So she's kind of away from everything else. And there are other houses. There's one house that is fully built, but no one inhabits it. Hers is, why Eleanor, don't buy this house, but she bought it. And the other houses are in the middle of being built and have been abandoned. And she is the only one living in this valley of ghosts, like
No, no,
it's,
no, no.
yeah. So it addresses issues of grief, anxiety, because that's what Eleanor is dealing with. Her Through her online therapy career, she's talking to patients who are dealing with these same issues. What I found really interesting is it looks at isolation and how our isolation is further enhanced by our participation or existence in an online world,
Mm-hmm.
which Eleanor very much is, as that's where her career is, and she's living in this house by herself. And then you get the blurring of the line between Eleanor's dream world and her reality world. It's so like you're not going to have, this is not like a blood and guts horror, but
Mm-hmm.
it is, I found it panic inducing because even I would not want to be a person buying my first house reading this book because I would
Okay.
be running scared from the whole process or
Yeah.
thought that I'm going to buy the house that Eleanor has just bought,
Yeah.
because everything that could go wrong in a house after you buy it goes wrong in her house. And that is before you throw in ghosts,
Oh God.
like so. But I loved it. I love Kim Fu's writing, and I just really enjoyed this one too.
God.
And
Oh,
then
that
I
sounds really
looked
creepy.
at my roof that isn't leaking, and now I feel like I need to knock on wood.
Well, this my next two books I think are not happy books
Okay.
either. So, well, they're not. Well, there we're there. Okay, so the
Yeah.
first one is Doubles by Nora Gold, and I just interviewed her. Can't remember the date, May 16th, I think, and we had a really nice conversation. She's written a novella. It's 86 pages, and it's about a girl who mistakenly gets put into a sort of a group home kind of setting because of a chaotic family life. And it is told by the main character who goes unnamed. And she is just trying, and I think she's 12, and it's 6 months of her life in this setting. And she is just trying to figure out what the hell is going on because she doesn't understand really why she was taken out of the home. And you, as the reader, kind of get a sense of what's going on, but you don't really know what happened in that because she doesn't talk about it. But I love novellas. I really
Mhm.
love them because I've thought about this a lot in terms of a short story will give you a certain amount of information, but we're often left going like, "Oh, I wish I had more information." But you love the short story for its style because you know you're not going to get all the information you need and you accept that. But there are often you go like, "Oh, I wish I knew about this or this," right? Whereas in a novel, you pretty much get all the information. A novella is that really fine, it walks that fine line between both. It's like a shorter story, but it's really tight, and it's it still can give you more than a short story, but
Mhm.
less than a full grown novel, right?
Yeah.
But I love them because I just love how it expands, sort of like it's just a little bit more than the short story. I love that. So I would say that if you are again looking for, it's summer, you want a short read, take it on vacation with you. It's not a sad or depressing story in that sense because you love this main character. She is just I don't think I will I wish she had a name because I don't she doesn't have a name, so I can't call her anything, but I she'll stay with me because she's fierce but she's vulnerable
Mhm.
and she's just trying to figure out, like I said, what the hell happened. And the ending, I loved the ending. So I thought it was the perfect ending. I will just say that.
Mm. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I listened to your conversation with Nora Gold. It was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's really interesting, and she has a fascinating background. So she's had this experience, worked with, young people in this way. And yeah, it's really fascinating. So I encourage you to, like I said, if you want a nice book to take on vacation that you can put in your, if you're flying or something and you need something nice and light, 86 pages, and it's got a brilliant cover. I love the cover so much. Sometimes I see covers and I go, I want a print of that on my wall.
Yeah,
And this is one of them that I want.
it is. You showed it to me. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm bringing a little poetry for us today too. So this is the debut collection by Maria Geisbrecht, and it is called A Little Feral. Also has a beautiful cover. Uh, these poems are written in the aftermath of leaving a conservative Mennonite upbringing, and they
Ooh,
chart. I know, yeah, that's a really interesting background. They chart the journey of breaking away from her father, from God, and from the confines of obedience, which is a lot, sounds heavy, but her writing is very lyrical.
yeah.
And each poem has its own rhythm with clear imagery that I found evoked like an inner emotional experience. So that even though I have not had the same life experience as this woman, there was still something that I recognized or I could
Yeah.
attached to, which I really liked. And I found the poems, because of the rhythm, they just kind of flowed. Like once you started it, you just like it just went boom, and you just went along for the ride. And I really enjoyed this collection. Finished it, and then I was like, I went back to the page one and read over some more. Like I just kind of jumped in and read
Hmm.
through some more poems as I was going, like after I'd already finished it. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the experience. I thought it was a great collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So my next book is Class Lessons by Lucy E. M. Black.
Mm.
And actually, she had gifted this book to me, which I really appreciated because it was on my radar for a minute and a half, and then I sort of forgot about it. And I was really happy that she sent me a copy. That was really
Hmm.
lovely. But as everybody knows, I love Lucy's work. I read it. I read it obsessively. I love her. I think she's fabulous. But it is Class Lessons: Stories of Vulnerable Youth, and so it's a collection of short stories, but each short story, so to speak, is the story of one of the kids.
So is this, sorry to interrupt, fiction or nonfiction? It's non.
That's just it. It is fiction. However, Lucy was an educator and an administrator in Canadian public schools.
Okay.
And so pretty much, and she did this on my Instagram, I sort of, and I might link to it. She did an interview with Halle Godry, and it was a written interview. It was like a blog post,
Hmm.
but she wrote the stories of the children that she knew and worked with, but fictionalized them. So I'm assuming, and she's very open about saying she really wanted to tell their stories, but she knew for privacy reasons she could not obviously write about them.
Yeah.
But she said, just know that everything I wrote is true. Like, so I don't know if she mixed kids up and did that kind of thing where people will do that. But I read these stories and I thought each one of them was just heartbreaking. And you just realize, and I even said in my review that the US and Canada, we have a lot of work to do for public school students.
Hmm.
I mean, we really do. Schools are just completely, we don't support our teachers and we don't pay them. I don't know about Canada, but we don't support them. We don't pay them enough. And it is a really rough job when parents are both working outside the home and kids are getting more and more is put on teachers to teach them life skills, etc. And that is never what school was supposed to be. So reading about these vulnerable teens is just so freaking heartbreaking. But I'm glad I read it. So in fact, I recommended it to our friend Colleen, who really is into social justice through her church. And so I told her she should read it as well. Because I think anybody who works with young people, I think it's really important to read this. And I'm not selling it. I know I'm not selling it like, oh, this is a happy read and you're going to blah, blah, blah. No, it's not that. But I think it's an important read
Yeah.
because when you start to realize some of what's going on in the classroom, if you've not been in a classroom since you were yourself a student, it's really, really interesting. And I said in my review, too, I think, or I said it to somebody that I wish I could know where these young people are now, like what happened to them. Because, and I realize not each story is exactly that person, but some of their stories were so hard and painful. I just want to know that they're okay.
Yeah.
And chances are statistically probably not so much. But it's really worth reading. I know it's a tough read, but if you're interested in that type of youth experience, I think it's definitely worth reading this book.
Okay. My next book, I'm going to go with the fiction. I'm going to switch them up how I had them listed. Uh, so I'm going to bring Wildlife by Amanda Leduc, which is also another book from the Carol Shields Prize. So I did not plan this, but I brought two of the books from this year's long list. Uh, I really like this book. I think they describe it as a fairy tale, and I can see why.
Hmm.
When I started reading it, I didn't know what the hell was going on, but I was intrigued and I wanted to know. And I love the book. It essentially follows two walking, talking hyenas,
Hmm.
Barbara and Kendrith, so a couple, as they interact with humans over the decades. So, from early 1900s Scotland at the birth of a new religion to 2041 at the end of the book, where the boundary between what is human and what is animal has disappeared. And that's when you get these little chunks of time, there's some interconnectedness, not only because Barbara and Kendrith are there the whole time, like throughout the whole book, but there are for the humans family connections, because I kept like a little list. I just automatically start doing. I was like Scotland 1900s and the name of the character with a little arrow, and then the next person, it would be almost there was some kind of family connection to the previous
Hmm.
section of the book, which I love that shit. Oh, also great representation of disabled characters too
Yeah.
in the book, which uh, I appreciate it. We need more of, so it's always nice to see more representation in our books, and just really well written. Like,
Yeah.
kudos Leduc. She did a great job. And I was so excited before I'd even read the book. I was excited that she got longlisted for the Carol Shields.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see. My next book is A Seldom Seen Road. And it is going to be, I assume it will be a series because it's called, let's see, what is the Burnt River Mysteries is
Mm.
on the cover. So I'll just read my little thing here and then I will give a teaser. So I said, if you like getting in on the beginning of a new mystery series, if you like family mystery solvers, so there's a father, the father's cop cousin, and the father's criminologist daughter.
Mm.
If you identify with a main character who wears hearing aids, and I do now, so I love that he wears hearing aids, although he is really pretty profoundly deaf, I think. So I think he's worse than me. If you like a fictional town set in northern Ontario near Lake Huron, which Lake Huron is my favorite of the five Great Lakes. And then let's see. Oh, if you like small town characters eking out a living, and if you like mayhem with eels and bears. And
Mm.
so the teaser I want to give is that we're going to be recording, I think next week, our next episode of Rabbit Holes, where you and I, when we read something and then we are fascinated by some aspect of the story, we go down a rabbit hole and start researching and kind of going like, what is this about? Blah, blah, blah. This is going to be, I actually have two books to talk about, but one's really brief, but this is going to be the one I want to talk about.
Really?
Hmm.
Does it have to do with the mayhem of eels and bears?
I don't want to
No.
give
Don't.
any. I
Okay.
don't want to
Don't.
give
No.
any.
Don't give it
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
I want it to be a nice surprise, and so that's our teaser to listen to our next podcast after
Yeah.
this one, which is Rabbit Holes #2.
I am even if it's not about the eels and bears, just that phrase mayhem of eels and bears. And I'm like, oh my God, can you have that? I don't want that, but yet I'm
Exactly.
intrigued. Yeah.
I love bears.
I love bears too, but I do not like eels.
No, and I love bears at a distance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just
Yeah.
to be clear,
Yeah.
yeah,
Me too. Me too.
yeah, because there have been some accidents recently that I've just like, yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I won't go into that anymore
No.
because it's important to hold on to that
Yeah.
for next week.
I was going to say, save it for our rabbit holes.
Yep.
Okay. My last book, I'm going to end on a super positive note. And it's with
Excellent.
a nonfiction book by one of my favorite nonfiction authors, and that is Jenny Lawson, who is a celebrated author and humorist. And her latest book is How to Be Okay When Nothing Is Okay. So Jenny herself battles self doubt, anxiety, and treatment resistant depression. So
Mm,
she's
mm,
got a lot on her plate.
yeah.
Um, I follow her on Instagram too, and God, I love every aspect of this woman. She's just a beautiful human being, like you just when someone. Anyways, I don't need to go on about it. I love her.
Yeah.
So her previous books have been essay collections. She is so funny. Like I've read her previous books and she makes me laugh out loud. And I have stories and the images stuck in my head and they still make me laugh. This one, so those were longer form essay collections. This one, they're very short. I think there's like 100 of them and they're 1 or 2 pages and they're just tools and tricks that she uses to sometimes get her through the days when she needs help getting through them to deal with her depression, her anxiety, and her ADHD. So they might be just like she talks about her drawing habit that she has, which I love watching that. Sometimes it'll just be how she will rework something or look at it from a different angle. It'll be physical tricks, mental tricks that she needs, also tricks or tips to help foster creativity, which I think we all need a little bit of that in a way that not creativity that you're like, now I can show this on Instagram and sell my image or whatever, or whatever I've created, but just to help you. Your
Yeah.
creativity will help you deal with all the other shit that life has to throw at you. So I loved it. There's honest to goodness good advice with her humor just splattered throughout it and her drawings because I love her drawings. If you follow her on Instagram or especially on Substack, her newsletter, she shares her drawings. I love her drawings. So those are like shared throughout the book. She will have little nuggets sometimes, a blank page with just down in one of the corners, just a little like, I see you. Like, just like, and you're just
Hmm.
like, yes, it's just a lovely book. I flipping devoured the book and would like a International Jenny Lawson Day. She would probably hate
Oh.
that, but I would love to have National Jenny Lawson Day.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's
now and then
beautiful.
go pick up her if you haven't read her other books, 'cause I'm like, now I've got to go back and reread her other ones just 'cause I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we should have ended on that one because this one's the last book I have. It's not a sad book or a horrible book or anything like that. But I just think we should have ended on Jenny Lawson. Oh my gosh. Okay, she sounds fabulous. I don't really know who she is, so I'll have to look into that. I don't
You
know.
should check her out on
Yeah,
Instagram. Yeah.
yeah.
She's
Definitely, I'm going to do that.
she lives in Texas and also owns an independent bookstore. Yes,
Oh.
I think it's called the Nowhere Bookshop. So if
Mm-hmm.
I were to ever find myself in that area in Texas, I probably will never happen, unfortunately. I would love to go visit her bookstore because it seems like a beautiful bookstore, but you can order online. I know that. She shares her animals. Oh my gosh, I could just go on and on. I won't. I'll stop. Let you
Yeah.
go. Continue. But
Okay. Well, here's a book that I received from the publicist or the publisher, and it is Welcome to Sunnytown by Theodora Armstrong. And I was telling Tara when I first started reading it, I thought, it's about 20 somethings making their way in life. And I told her at the beginning, I thought, I don't know. I think this is really well written. I mean, you just flow with this story. But I thought maybe I'm too old now to really appreciate the story of 20 somethings, like
mhm.
maybe but I thought, no, I'm going to stick with it. Okay. So here's what I wrote on my review because I love this book so much. Oh my God. So Maggie, a 20 something artist with a chaotic family life, is invited by a friend to move from her home in Canada to Japan to become an English as a second language teacher. So with nothing to lose, she jets off to Okayama and becomes enmeshed with a ragtag group of young expats trying to find their place in the world. And what she discovers is a world of disconnection, loneliness, drugs and alcohol, and ephemeral friendships. And then I said, in other words, she experiences what some of us go through as we transition from school to work to purpose to life. Okay, this was my freaking experience. And the more I read, the more I was like, God damn, this is like my life because I moved in my early 20s. I moved to Los Angeles from Michigan, and I lived in LA for almost 5 years. And I, the people I knew then, I'm not in touch with any of those people anymore. And most of them, almost all of them I called them kind of wannabes. They wanted to be in the industry, comedians, singers, actors, dancers, whatever. And one of them, actually, of all the people I worked with, he became well known, and he was on the Cosby Show, and he has his own stand-up stuff, and he's really hilarious, really, really funny. Don Reed, by the way. Anyway, and I reached out to him a few years ago and touched base with him. It was really kind of fun. But anyway, this book is funny in places that you don't expect it to be funny, but it is really about how when you're young, you're just trying to make your way and you're not even sure where you're supposed to go or what you're supposed to do. And I think if you have the experience, because I've worked with people in the past who were English language teachers in different countries, and I wish now again, there are people that are no longer in my life, but I wish I could ask them, like, if this book is really resonates with them because I'm not kidding you. They were a messed up group of people.
Mm.
And it is based on her personal experience. I don't know how much of it is, true to her actual experience, but I loved everything about this story. By the time I finished it, yeah, the characters ring true. I didn't do the drugs that they did. I did a lot of alcohol back in the day, but doing all that stuff. Anyway, but so I didn't do the drug stuff, but I just kept thinking, what is wrong with you people? Get it together. And then I remembered like they could have said that about all of us back in the day as well. But I got to tell you, I had great years in LA. So
Yeah.
I loved it.
On your Instagram post, you shared pictures
Oh
from that
yeah.
time, like the group pictures, and I
Yeah.
love them because I'm like, they almost look like a commercial from that time period of like the perfect group that's hanging, you know what I mean? I was just like, "Oh my god," it's like it looked because you were all attractive, young,
Yeah.
there's some shirtlessness going on, it was a beau like, it was just like
And it's so funny because one of my friends, actually, I have stayed friends. My friend Ron, I sent him a screenshot. He's not on social media, but I sent him a screenshot, and I said, "Do you remember this? It was a picnic. Those are all my coworkers except for Ron." And I just remember we decided to have a picnic, and so we went somewhere and we built a pyramid
Yep.
of all of us, and I think we played like softball or something. I don't even remember all that we did that day, but I just remember it was a gorgeous day in LA. We had a lot of fun. We were laughing, and I sent it to Ron, and Ron said, "I have no memory of this whatsoever," which I loved. And so then I grabbed all, I have a whole, but he says, "But I love seeing myself when I was young and in great shape and attractive." And I go, "Yeah, it's been like 40 years now or something." And I'm just like, damn, life
Yep.
really screws you over in many ways.
Oh man, we should have finished with the Jenny Lawson book.
I know, exactly. Well, I will just say this to everybody. Whenever I see young people insult older people in like social media comments, I never say a word because I don't engage. I don't ever want to start an argument because I think that's horrible. But I want to say to each and every one of them, if you are lucky, you will get to be an old person. Not
Yeah.
everybody gets to, but you will one day be the person that young people will be making fun of, just the
Yeah.
way you are now.
Oh yeah.
So
Even I've gotten sometimes like, you get the stink eye or the side eye when you're out or something from a young person. I just think in my head, I'm like, it's coming around, baby. It's coming around.
exactly.
Think you're cool now. One day you are not going to be cool.
Absolutely. Yep, yep, yep. That is
You
so
know,
true.
even the
So,
like cool old person, you're still not cool. I'm sorry, because you're an old person trying to be cool.
I know. Oh my gosh.
You know,
I know.
all
Yeah,
comes around. Yeah, like you said, hopefully for it comes around for you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, end this with something else that you just give us one little Jenny Lawson thing that you love, and then we can close this out because I think we have to end on a really happy, positive note. Anything special?
Okay. Oh, you know what I will?
Yeah.
What I love about one of the first things I learned about her when I first years ago started following her, she collects taxidermy animals. I know, I see your face, but they're not normal taxidermy animals. She finds them and they're in costume, like they're posed. Like, I wish I had the book right now. The cover of one of her books is her raccoon that's just like, "Wah!"
Oh my
And they'll
God.
have like sometimes little hats on and stuff. And I love that about her. I'm looking, I don't have one of her books here. I thought I'd brought it up because I want to reread it, but I didn't bring it up and put it on my shelf yet. But that's what I love about her. She is bizarre, weird, and she embraces it. And she loves animals of all kinds. She's, she's lovely. She's amazing. She will make you laugh. If you need a laugh, go find a Jenny Lawson book.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rebecca. This was super fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love our
Thanks.
book chats. Thank you for listening. And until next time, may all your reading be inspired. Thank you for listening to Canada Reads Inspired. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever you listen. You can connect with the podcast and Rebecca on Instagram at Canada Reads Inspired and with Tara at Anna Branch Reads. May all your reading be inspired.